Benjamin to come and essentially welcome us more appropriately to this forum. And then I'll invite Stigmata Tenga to join us. We have had an apology from the governor of Nairobi, who will join us in a few minutes. Apparently he has to brief the president on the WINGS conference, and we think that's appropriate. So we allowed him to do that and then come here. I'm joking. But he is meeting the president. Presumably there's something else that's happening. So we will bring him in as soon as he arrives, very warmly. So I'm told, let's get Africa's voice first. Stigmata Tenga, karibu.
Thank you, Irungu, and thank you everyone for being here. So that proverb, you say it together? Eh? And what does that mean? So we are more powerful together. Nice to see all these faces this morning. And some of you have seen yesterday. And I'm very, very happy to meet people who have met online for so long, but now I'm able to connect those faces into what I was seeing online. Distinguished guests, esteemed members of philanthropy community in the world, dada zangu na kaka zangu. You have to learn Swahili, guys. Turn up to the people around you and ask them what this means. So I say, brothers and sisters, protocol observed. Karibuni sana Afrika. Karibuni sana Kenya. Na karibuni sana Nairobi. I stand before you with excitement and pride. The forum came to Africa at the opportune time to test our solidarity and our collective action in transforming how development is done. I express my gratitude on behalf of all APN members to the WINGS board for choosing Africa to host this forum. The journey started long ago. Irungu spoke about it. And if it was a baby, the baby would be 5 years old. Today we are here together, and we are here to talk about transformation. I've learned from this journey about the power of commitment and true partnership. Thank you, Benjamin. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all APN members for their commitment. They kept on asking the Secretariat, when are we going to host WINGS Forum? When is the forum happening? And this started since 2018, when Benjamin announced about this meeting at the APN Assembly. Thank you, the host committee, for your energy in planning and support. The host committee was made of our members in East Africa. And I hope that this forum will give delegates a chance and opportunity to draw a roadmap and on philanthropic activities that might change existing mindset about problem solving. I would like to remind delegates that philanthropy is not a new concept in Africa. Philanthropy giving is very African. We give at every stage of our lives. Generosity, it is at the core and embedded in African philanthropy. We give to our relatives, our neighbors, our friends. We even give to foreigners to an extent that we give them our voice and our land. And we have to fight hard to regain that. I was also to speak about Ubuntu. You are because I am because you are. Ubuntu is a philosophy that should guide philanthropy. The dignity of the giver and that of the receiver is based on the spirit of supporting each other in times of need. The good thing about African philanthropy is that people give what they treasure and need most, not the surplus. In philanthropy, within the African continent, people who receive are never marginalized by receiving. They are honored. Both the giver and the receiver have the same privilege. The poor, too, give to the wealthy in many ways. Together this week, we embark on transformative journey that seek to redefine the very essence of philanthropy. Our mission at the APN is clear: to elevate Africa philanthropy practices and their powers in transforming systems and enable development by nurturing an infrastructure that can bring it together and articulate a common voice. But what transformation means in the context of African philanthropy? For us, it is about reimagining philanthropy as a strategy for transformative change and human equitable development. It is about ensuring the culture of giving is elevated. It is about encompassing all forms of philanthropy for public good. Institutional, which is formal, and we call it vertical, and the individual, which is referred to as informal and horizontal. And also is about investing in documenting those practices to shape and reshape the existing narratives. It is about breaking the social norms, embracing holistic approach to addressing the root causes of inequality and injustices. In African context, it means harnessing the power of local knowledge, expertise, assets, networks, and all other resources, financial and non-financial, that can be tapped into to address our challenges. It means fostering partnership and collaborations that are built on Ubuntu philosophy and shared values of trust, respect, inclusivity, and solidarity. It is not just about what we do. It is also about how we do it. It requires us to challenge our existing norms and paradigms, to question the status quo, to embrace innovation and creativity. It demands that we break down silos, work together in the environment of this modern concept of philanthropy through transforming our experiences on issues such as leadership, governance and development, peace and security, economic empowerment, and the creation of an enabling environment for people to socially thrive in all their diversity. The importance of technology and innovation in solving own problems while interrogating into the power dynamics that shape how resources are mobilized, distributed, and utilized cannot be overemphasized when we talk about transformation. At the philanthropy development community, and for all us here, we need to work out how to retain resources in the hands of people and their communities, and stifle the dynamics that reap people of their deserved resources and power. Furthermore, we need to look into the role of organizations and networks like ours in encouraging those harmful dynamics. I believe you'll agree with me, there is no thing such as giving back to the grassroots. All these things are rightfully of people. They are ours. Really, they are ours. They are people's. We should think about how do we stop resources from being taken away in the first place. And it is not just about tangible resources such as land. We also see the exclusion of big English and French words we use when we interact with these communities we refer to as grassroots, as if they did not invent the philanthropy we are here discussing. It has been invented by them. It is theirs. And we should be cognizant of the fact that when we shy away from talking about inequalities within our spaces, we leave organizations and people movements that center issues of disability, queerness, and those who do women's and feminist work with hardly any support. I would like to conclude by thanking the APN members and all delegates for making time for this forum. and urge everyone to engage fully in the transformation discussion that we are all equally responsible for. Plan to leave Nairobi with effective strategies and actions to enable change, to walk the talk, and to create the future. Engage with the journey of hope and transformation. I wish us all fruitful deliberations. Karibuni nyote, asanteni sana. In solidarity.
So in my part of the world, we would probably start by saying, Viva Stigmata, viva! Viva Stigmata, viva! Viva Africa, viva! Allow me very warmly to welcome Benjamin Beleji, the Executive Director of WINGS.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stigmata, for these inspiring words and setting us up in the Ubuntu spirit for this important gathering. And thank you to our co-host committee members, to the Ford Foundation for making this event possible, and all our other partners and funders for this event. It's truly an important moment for us to be here today and to welcome all of you to WINGSForum 2023. As it was said, this is the first in-person global gathering of WINGS since 2017 in Mexico City, and the first ever WINGSForum on the African continent, and we're very, very honored and proud to be here today. So karibuni to everyone. Since Mexico, our global network, our team, and our impact have grown tremendously. With all of you, and thanks to you, we have pioneered new ways of collaborating globally to address the critical issues of our field. And thanks to you, we together established a common voice, a unified voice at the global level to promote the philanthropic sector, to engage with other actors, with other sectors, and to improve our environment. We started influencing the norms that shape our thinking, that shape our field. And we also piloted new ways to strengthen the philanthropic ecosystem from the ground up in different regions with our members and for our members, including here in Africa. Just outside these doors, we can see the wonders of nature and wildlife. Wide open plains with incredible wildlife, including black rhinos, lions, leopards, buffaloes, giraffes, hundreds of species of bird life, peacefully cohabiting with a major city. And look inside this room, 350 people from all over the world, committed to change and unified by a common aspiration for the greater good and hope for a better world. The beauty of the natural world and humanity side by side. Sadly, both the natural world and humanity are at risk. Today, as we start this conference, we must acknowledge that for the first time in history, the human species could design its own end. When we last met in 2017, the world was just catching up with the new trend of populism and authoritarianism, while just starting to properly understand the urgency of the climate crisis. Since then, we passed through an extremely challenging period for all of us and for humanity, with the global pandemic, the aggravation of inequalities, geopolitical shifts, wars, nuclear threats, an astonishing acceleration of climate-related disasters, and new technological developments, including AI, which, while are creating new opportunities, are also raising deep concerns about the future of work, of relationships, of democracy, and of humanity. We now all feel it in our lives, wherever we are, that we have entered a new and dangerous era. We live in a very different world today, one in which the elements of a dystopian future made of tech-boosted authoritarianism, mass job destructions, stratospheric inequalities, global conflicts, biocultural extinction, as well as a lack of meaning in most people's lives, may already be in place. And that we're faced with nothing less than an existential risk for modern civilization, if not for humanity itself. So this fundamentally new situation, this polycrisis, calls on us to rethink the unsustainable philosophical, economic, and governance models that have led to this situation. It also calls on us to be hopeful. That's a paradox. But I believe that such great adversity forces us to find the inner resources that we didn't know we had. To find, with courage and hope, a path towards transformation. Philanthropy, as usual, is no longer an option. Improving our effectiveness is no longer enough. It is urgent that we think about what drives us, about the role we're playing in society, and that we could play in society, and how to unlock the potential of philanthropy to transform these models. Whether we are big or small, whatever we're working on, whether we do it very locally or to a broader scale, it is possible and indispensable for all of us to address these big issues. But what exactly should we transform in philanthropy? Before talking about practices, tools, strategies, I think it all comes down to something more fundamental. And that's our ability as individuals and institutions to embody the love of humanity we claim to be about. So we asked our network, what should we transform? And we harvested your collective wisdom with the Philanthropy Transformation Initiative. And what we heard is that we first need 3 major mindset shifts in the field. The first one, this. As a philanthropic funder, you don't have to do this. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't need to say, wait for it, check my impact. I'm going to impact you like you've never seen before. It's not about you. It's about those you're trying to serve. So we don't need to sell anything to anyone. Philanthropic actors can use this independence to take risks, fail, think long-term, lose control, distribute power. They're in a unique position to work through trust, to embrace complexity, to collaborate with others, with other sectors, to provide long-term, unrestricted support, to listen and learn. That's an incredible privilege that for once we should use. So the first major shift is that we need to see ourselves as an enabler of a change that is greater than us, rather than achievers of our own direct and ever too small impact. Our true success is not in our impact indicators, it is in how we embody our values. And this leads us to the second shift that we heard from you. And this is, we should walk the talk. We need to be consistent across all our dimensions. As philanthropic actors, we have many dimensions. Peoples and teams and operations, financial assets, the communities, families, and businesses that are creating the wealth and generating the wealth before distributing it. And so all these dimensions need to be aligned. They need to be in alignment with each other and with our missions and values. In a world of polycrisis, we cannot continue to do good with our 150 billion in grants every year and do harm with our 1.5 trillion in assets. We need to align. And finally, whatever we work on, we have to think about the future and these existential threats that we're all collectively facing and that are all impacting and already impacting all aspects of our lives and of our work. And these threats don't have much consideration for our silos, for our thematic priorities, for our boxes. Climate is the most obvious one. It urgently needs to be integrated transversely into our work. With initiatives like Philanthropy for Climate, our field is starting to act, it's starting to move. What about the unchecked advancement of biotech, AI, the prospects of surveillance states, surveillance markets? It can seem far away from our day-to-day reality, it can seem overwhelming. But can we just continue to ignore them as philanthropic actors? We must integrate these big questions into our strategies, into our policies, and do everything that we can at our own level to build a better future and to acknowledge this situation and create a better future together. So to conclude briefly, I would like to draw a parallel and appeal to our own personal transformation where these three mindset shifts actually apply very well. Are we ready? Are we ready? Yeah? Are we ready to put others before ourselves? To be humble? To be at service without waiting for any return? In other words, are we ready to love? Are we ready to be consistent across everything that we are, to connect our minds, our bodies, our hearts? In other words, are we ready to be one? And finally, are we ready to think about future generations and the kind of world we're leaving for them? Are we ready to change our priorities for them? In other words, are we ready to put our children and all of those who will come after us first? Love, be one across generations. That's what we heard from you. Here's to a transformative experience at Wings Forum. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very. Let's try without the two mics. Thank you very much, Benjamin, and thank you also, Stigmata. We have word that the president has been suitably briefed, and the governor will be joining us very soon. We do hope that he might bring the president here in case the president is not busy today. But we will be expecting Governor Sakaja in a few minutes. But I think just as we go into the next plenary, so what we're proposing to do is essentially to give him a moment to give a keynote. We might ask Benjamin to just summarize in a few words what he just said with even more exciting of a presentation, just to give an orientation to the governor, lest the governor read a speech about the state of Nairobi, which it could be possible given the speed at which he's moving. And then we'll invite the governor to speak, and then we will see if he's able to join us for the first plenary panel. So we're going to do a quick energizer, and what I'd like you to do is to use this as an opportunity to center yourself. There are so many things happening in the world. We've talked about the poly crisis. I do like to see it as a poly opportunity also, a call to action on different levels, rather than a moment for us to crawl back into bed and just figure out the world is too